What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the Sunshine Cup once again, and the team that we're going to be taking a look at today is Shadow HIPPOWDON, Credilli, and Shadow Quagsire. Yes, I know, Credilli is on another team. It's going to be on pretty much every single team in this cup because that's just how strong it is and how just neutral it is into the majority of the meta. That said, the Pokemon we're focusing on today is Shadow HIPPOWDON, and Shadow HIPPOWDON with Ice Fang, not Sand Attack. Ice Fang actually gives this thing 3 extra wins against the meta, and its wins are very important. That said, it says it still loses to Credilli here. I've always had good matchups with Ice Fang, HIPPOWDON into Credilli. Gligar you absolutely ruin, same with Flygon. Some really core meta picks coming out here that you get wins with, and you're still beating some of the things that you should beat, like Talonflame, but you're also now beating Diggersby, Gliscor, Clodsire, Quagsire, some just truly incredible wins. Jumpluff. I mean, this thing is absolutely a beast. And then we're just covering its weaknesses with Credilli and Quagsire. They have some pretty decent coverage between the two of them in the back. So yeah, before we hop into those battles, a special thank you to the expert trainer member on this channel, Benny Hemlock. He's the first expert trainer member, and then a special thank you to the legend trainer members on this channel, Big Burden, Andrew Pitten, Moosachu, Noodleman, and a new person, Speedster. So huge shout out to all you guys. Without further ado, let's hop into the battles. All right, into the first match, we have Shadow HIPPOWDON into a absolute core breaker. It is a Abomasnow. I'm going to save switch into my Credilli, and this is the exact reason we're running Acid on Credilli, and it's this one Pokemon. We are triple weak to this Pokemon, so we have to save switch it into our Credilli and get those acids off. I will commit the shield because I want to get at least a Rock Tomb off onto the Abomasnow. My opponent ends up letting the Rock Tomb on their Marowak go, and they have to full send a Shadow Ball in order to pick up the knockout here. So I'm actually going to commit the shield, and then I'm going to go for a full farm down. So now it depends on what comes in. It's a Flygon, so I'm going to click the Grass Knot. I should have gone for a 1 in the move, but this might make my opponent think I blind through a Rock Tomb, and they do. They actually let it go. So now here comes their Rock Tomb. This is resisted. We've already done a lot of damage to this Flygon. I do expect them to shield. Now in comes HIPPOWDON. We get the 2 Ice Fang farm down, and now it's Abomasnow. Can it 1v3 with a shield advantage? They are going to throw on the Stampede Tie with the Weather Ball. Is this enough to pick up the knockout? It is. Unfortunately, Shadow HIPPOWDON very glassy, especially with the IVs I have. And now this becomes a very difficult matchup because can I get to a Stone Edge before they get to an Energy Ball? I cannot, so I'm forced to settle for an Aqua Tail and hope that this burns the switch timer enough so I can catch on Credilli, but it doesn't. But my opponent, worried about a catch, ends up over farming, allowing me to get to another Aqua Tail, and now I can snipe with the Credilli, but my opponent throws energy. Is it the Energy Ball catch? No, it's a Weather Ball. Did my opponent predict this? They're at the back-to-back moves. Is this enough? Do they have the Energy Ball for my Quagsire? They do. And my opponent has made one of the absolutely most cracked plays I have ever seen with the prediction on the switch, the Weather Ball into the Energy Ball, throwing blindly, just an absolutely crazy play. I had to include that. That just insane play. So very well played by my opponent. But in the next match we have Mirror Leads, Ice Fang HIPPOWDON into Ice Fang HIPPOWDON. The opponent ends up catching a Weather Ball onto their Chestnut, and once again I don't have a good answer to Chestnut in the back, so I'm forced to stay in, go for a couple more Ice Fangs, get the extra Weather Ball off, expecting my opponent to no shield that because it is resisted, but now that puts them in Acid farm down range. I can shield up one superpower. I can now let the second one go because this one is debuffed because of their first superpower, and that only puts Credilli in the yellow health range. What's going to come in, it's going to be a Typhlosion in the back. Typhlosion will be met with a super effective Rock Tomb. My opponent will commit the shield. Can I make it to another Rock Tomb? It looks like the answer is yes. That is absolutely huge. We're going to be able to grab 2 shields from my opponent in this matchup. Thank you, Credilli. And now, actually, because of the debuff, that Incinerate doesn't KO. But now I can come in with my Quagsire. They're completely walled. They come in with HIPPOWDON. I get the Scorching Sands catch onto my HIPPOWDON. Absolutely huge. The opponent off, like, I think it was 6 off from a Weather Ball because I think they were energy dry. But I am going to just settle for a few extra Mud Shots, pick up the knockout with the Aqua Tail. I know I can live 1 Blast Burn here, but I'm still going to shield, expecting them not to bait. I think they're at the back-to-back already. So yeah, shield 1, take 1. I know I can live this. It'll probably put us in the red. Yeah, it does. But I have the Aqua Tail loaded. My opponent knows they no longer have a win con, so they just resign the match. Mag Cargo. So this would normally be a good lead. Does my opponent know about Ice Fang? They do. So they actually stay in this matchup, which is what makes this matchup a lot more difficult. Because now that my opponent knows they can stay in, they can also take a Weather Ball and live that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect with a Weather Ball, and now I'm going to pivot into Credilli and soak up this energy here. I'm thankful that my opponent is throwing their energy and they're staying in this matchup. So something is clearly wrong with my opponent's backline. Maybe they have like a Jump Pluff in the back, or something like a Grass, because Grass are always in the back behind Mag Cargo to cover its water and ground weaknesses. That said, they actually have a Decidueye, and now Decidueye is going to pick up the knockout on the Credilli. I can now come in with my Hippowdon, get the full Ice Fang farm down, come out with energy loaded for the Mag Cargo, and then it just depends on what is that Pokemon in the back. Are they going to come back with a Magcargo, or are they going to show us the third? They're going to show us the third, and it's a Quagsire. And frankly, I do not see a win con anymore because, yes, we may have just grabbed that lash or grabbed the first shield from my opponent, but they have an energy lead. And with an energy lead and being down shields, I just don't think there's a way I can win this matchup. That said, I'm still going to play it out, see if I can find a potential win con. I'm thinking at this time, my only win con is we each throw 2 Aqua Tails that basically burns the switch timer, and then maybe at some point I can get a catch with my Hippowdon. That's kind of my only win con at this point, because I need my Quagsire to win this game. I go for the catch because they were at the charge move, but they do not throw it right away, and then I come in with my Hippowdon. I make it to the Weather Ball. I am able to pick up the knockout, but I cannot Ice Fang down, and they have the charge move loaded. I wouldn't win CMP either way, and even though I got 1 turn lag, it doesn't matter. I didn't have the move. They actually go for the BM Stone Edge to pick up the knockout, and my opponent is able to take that win. I think the only way I win that game is if I throw as soon as I get to the Aqua Tail. That way they're 2 off from theirs, pivot into my Hippowdon, let them throw the Aqua Tail on my Hippowdon, and then maybe get the farm down on the Mag Cargo with my Quagsire and hope that they didn't farm up before they exited that matchup. But either way, in the next match we have a Credilli on the lead, and you're about to see why I don't think Credilli is that much of an issue, because we just won the zeros with Shadow Hippowdon. And now in comes a Swampert. Swampert now will be met with a Shadow Scorching Sands. This is stab damage. It's going to hurt. The opponent lets it go, puts them into the yellow health range. They end up coming in with a Talonflame, and I make a mistake here. I should definitely just come in with my Quagsire. Quagsire has a more dominant matchup because we at least resists the flame charges and the incinerates. That said, I can now go for the Rock Tomb on my opponent. My opponent has to commit the shield. That's double super effective damage. And I am going to throw the Rock Tomb when they get to the back-to-back charge moves. I may as well shield this up and grab the final shield from my opponent, because as soon as I do, I have 2 Pokemon left that can one-shot the Talonflame from this range. So in comes the Quagsire. Is my opponent going to throw their energy? They're going to throw, and then they're going to pivot. They are running Brave Bird, and in comes the Swampert. Swampert now going to get outpaced. Well, I think they had the charge move, but they didn't throw it. Aqua Tail will pick up the knockout. My opponent ended up force quitting the app, which is why you see it sped up to 4 times speed here. But now going for the Aqua Tail. This will pick up the knockout on the Talonflame, and we are able to take that win. Into next match, another fantastic lead, but does my opponent know it? Here come double super effective Ice Fangs. The opponent is staying in this matchup, and look at the health disparity. I mean, that is insane. They did farm up to a dig, so I will respect it. It's just the Aerial Ace bait. Can they get to another charge move? They can't even get to another charge move before we get the full Ice Fang farm down. And now we see why they didn't switch out of that matchup. They have a Diggersby in the back, and if this is their best response to a Shadow Hippowdon running Ice Fang, I can only imagine what's in the back. So I'm actually going to commit the shield. I'm thinking Shadow Hippowdon might be able to fully run through this entire team. So I'm going to get the Fire Punch catch onto my Quagsire, bank all of that energy on my Hippowdon while doing massive damage and putting the Diggersby into the red health range. Granted, they do still have 2 shields, but in comes a Pidgeot. So yes, they were triple weak to ice. I'm going to farm up to the Stone Edge, bait with the Aqua Tail. That's a pretty safe bait because 1, my opponent, if they let that go, is just going to get Ice Fang farm down, and 2, Stone Edge would be massive damage and would one-shot the Pidgeot. But in comes the Hippowdon. I'm already at the back-to-back. They just full send the Brave Bird, so Weather Ball will certainly be enough to pick up the knockout. They end up committing the shield, but I'm already at the back-to-back. So here comes Weather Ball number 2. Weather Ball number 2 will be enough to pick up the knockout, and now it's Ice Fang versus Diggersby. They're going to get fully farmed down, and Credilli gets to take the game off. And that was a 5-0 set. Into the next match, Hippowdon into the Magcargo. Magcargo, of course, staying in this matchup once again. So another good read by my opponent, realizing that Hippowdon might actually be on Ice Fang in this meta. They are going to shield the first. I'm going to throw one Ice Fang and then pivot this time. But once again, my opponent is throwing their energy on the Credilli, and this is absolutely what we like to see. One Rock Tomb connects, a second one can connect, and it still won't be enough to knock out. So I'm going to let both of them go. They have to force in the overheat if they want to pick up the knockout with one of those. So now in comes a Furret. Furret will be met with a Rock Tomb. That's going to debuff them, and they're already down a shield. So I'm in a pretty good situation here. I do come in with the Quagsire, and now I'm just going to kind of overfarm in this matchup, throw before they get to their next Trailblaze. Stone from this range will be enough to pick up the knockout. If they commit a shield, I'll just commit one right back, and they do. So maybe something also weak to Quagsire in the back. My imagination is telling me that it's just Credilli in the back and they're triple weak to fighting. But I'm just going to go for the Aqua Tail as soon as they're in range, and it's actually a Marowak in the back. So my opponent running ABA weak to water. So this is where having a Water Gun Quagsire would be nice, and that is some secret sauce in this meta. That said, I farm up back to the Aqua Tail after connecting with one. I get the Ice Fang farm down on the Marowak to put it in 1 HP for the Quagsire. Where do they go from here? They come in with the with the Magcargo. That allows me to overfarm, make it to the back-to-back Aqua Tails. This is double super effective damage. It picks up the knockout, and even though they were one away from the charge move on the Furret, they did not have the charge move yet, so Aqua Tail picks up the knockout on the Furret, and we are able to take that win. I just had to watch for what was going to come in there. Tough opponent in the next match, Purple Kyogre, and they're running Magcargo as well. But this one is going to pivot. He comes in with a Credilli. It's an Acid Credilli at that, so I'm going to throw 7 Ice Fangs, catch the Rock Tomb or the Grass Knot onto my own Credilli, and we get that exactly perfect. But because I'm on Bullet Seed in this matchup, I'm able to outpace, make it to a Grass Knot of my own. That connects, it puts him into the red health range. I can basically get the full farm down here, and I think I can live another Grass Knot. So I'm going to let this go, and I can. That is absolutely massive. We get the Bullet Seed farm down without having to concede a shield. And back in comes the Magcargo, but now he knows I'm on Ice Fang. So instead, I'm going to come in with my Quagsire, but in the back is a Flygon, and the Ice Fangs are doing insane damage. He just resigns the match, and we are able to take that win. Neutral lead in the next match, but I'm actually going to pivot into my Credilli right away because I don't want my opponent to know that I'm on Ice Fang yet. So that's why you see me pivoting into Credilli, and this is a pretty dominant matchup for Credilli, at least in the zero shield scenario. In the zero shield, Credilli actually does win this. Actually, that might be false. I think it's only if you're running Acid you win it in the zeros because the fast moves do enough damage. I guess we'll find out from this one. We survive the Brick Break? We do. We make it to a second Rock Tomb. Is this enough to pick up the knockout on the Furret? It is not. So yes, Acid would help you there, but you could also just go Grass Knot to pick up the knockout. That said, I can then come in with my Quagsire, get the farm down. What is in the back from my opponent? They're thinking about it. What are they going to come in with? Nothing. They're just going to resign the match. Whatever was in the back did not want to see Quagsire, so they just resigned the match. Into next match, another Gligar. This Gligar is going to take 3 double super effective Ice Fangs before pivoting into their Quagsire, and this is a matchup where it's nice having Bullet Seed. Bullet Seed, of course, energy generation is a little bit quicker, and it does double super effective in this matchup. That said, my opponent farms up to the Stone Edge, but they bait with an Aqua Tail, and I call that bait, which is absolutely massive, because now I can just connect with a Grass Knot. This is double super effective damage. It will pick up the knockout. Back in comes a Gligar. Gligar now will be met with a Rock Tomb. This is neutral damage, and it'll lower their attack, which means that Hippowdon will be able to soak up that energy a little bit better. But instead, my pivot resets. They pivot onto a Talonflame into the back. And now Talonflame will be met with an Aqua Tail. This is super effective damage, so they will commit the shield. They know they have to commit the shield on everything in here, because even though one Aqua Tail is not enough to pick up the knockout, the Ice Fang farm down is inevitable. So my opponent does throw their energy. Here comes Aqua Tail number 2. My opponent is likely to shield this as well. And once they grab 2 shields from me, I have to be worried about a Gligar snipe here. However, I don't think I'm quite in dig range, and my switch timer is not up. In comes the Gligar. So unfortunately, switch timer not up. I'm not allowed to save this health range. But what that allows me to do is their energy dry. I can get the farm down with the HIPPOWDON, come out with a Weather Ball loaded, and Weather Ball is double super effective damage. This is massive overkill onto the Talonflame, and we are able to take that win. Into what I believe is the final match of the video, Shadow HIPPOWDON into Talonflame. Talonflame is going to stay in this matchup, but honestly, Ice Fang is neutral here. It's going to do some pretty nice chip, and we still outpace the Weather Ball. Look at that pacing. 6 to the Weather Ball is still super nice. My opponent is going to throw. The only way they win this matchup is in the 2s. They have to commit both shields. So what I'm likely to do is go for back-to-back Weather Balls, grab both shields from my opponent, Ice Fang them into a range where I can farm them down with one of my back 2 Pokemon, and then just get an energy lead while conceding the shield. Of course, that does give my opponent switch advantage, and I could always pivot out of that matchup if I was running Acid Credillia, but I think I was on Bullet Seed Credillia in this matchup. They do end up full sending the Brave Bird. I should get the shield call right. In comes Credillia. This Credillia is also on Bullet Seed, but I'm able to outpace because of the 1 residual, make it to a Stone Edge. Stone Edge does hit for some pretty massive neutral damage. In comes my own Credillia, and they're going to start firing off their energy. Is it a Rock Tomb? Is it a Grass Knot? It's the Rock Tomb that debuffs my attack. But now here comes a Grass Knot because I need damage on this Credillia. I do not want them to make or have the ability to make a move later in this game. So I can go for the harder hitting charge move. That puts them into the red health range. They're also firing energy here. So maybe they have a Mud Boy of their own in the back, and they do. And that is unfortunate for my opponent. I could have gone for 3 Bullet Seeds here, but just settling for 2. Going to pick up the knockout with the Grass Knot. Maybe potentially worried about giving them a farm down, but my switch timer is up. They're lower than I am, so we are able to take that win. But yeah, that is Shadow HIPPOWDON with Ice Fang for this meta. I believe there is another content creator that also, I think it was FP Sticks, put out this like exact same team. I think he used Shadow Swampert instead, but like I didn't find out about it until I think it was Home Slice Henry was streaming about it, and I was like, wait, what are you talking about? That's my team. And I was like, I haven't even released that yet. Granted, I'm recording this a couple days in advance. The same day that the league went live, I'm recording this. So when this goes up, it'll probably be 2 days after, because I'm going to show one team for before this with Talonflame. I think that'll already be out at this point. So, but yeah, I just thought that was really funny that we came to the same conclusion about Ice Fang HIPPOWDON, used it, put out content about it. So if you've seen this before, that's probably where you've seen it, or at least heard talked about it. But yeah, I think it's a really cool core breaker for this meta. It's really, really strong. It's not to say that this team doesn't have core breakers. A Bomb Snow is very tough for this team, especially on the lead. But you can work around it. I made that game incredibly close, and maybe if I had played it a little bit better, I could have won it. But yeah, same with Mudboy leaves. That's a little bit tricky, but you can work out of it. But yeah, that's going to be it for me from this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.